everybody, welcome back to the Parish Noticeboard. Today it is Sunday, February the 19th, and as you can see, this week I'm inside a church. Now this is a very small church. It was originally built as a chapel of ease, so obviously it's not the grandest structure in the world, but you know, these little chapels of ease are actually quite interesting. You can find out some really interesting history about them. This one's got a load of history on the wall here, which I will tell you about when this episode eventually comes out. Now obviously from inside here you do well to sort of guess where it is. However, I'm just going to take you outside and show you the outside of it, and this might help you, you never know. There we go. Where do you think this is? If you think you know, put your answers down below. Now the reason I've done this one inside a church this week is because today it is extremely windy, and you probably wouldn't be able to hear me if I was just talking to the camera outside. So I think coming inside is probably the best place to be. This is the only church I've managed to get into today, so this has to be the one I do it in. Let's move on to last week's answer. And you'll remember that last week we were in another church. We were in a ruined church, and that one you can find in Calderdale. It's the parish church, or was the parish church, of St Thomas a Becket in Heptonstall. So well done if you got that, guys. Mrs. TVI brought out a special episode earlier this week in Heptonstall. It was to do with the church and the ruined church and the grave of Sylvia Plath as well, which is in the churchyard adjoining the two churches. So if you haven't seen that, I will put a link to it down below. But the main Heptonstall episode is coming out very soon, our first foray into Calderdale. Now the main focus of the notice board this week will be to do with the Megatrip, because that's coming up next week. However, I just have one other thing to talk about as well, and that is to do with the Aylesby episode, which you saw earlier this week on Wednesday. I got a few people commented about the allotments and trying to basically tell me I was wrong about them being in Aylesby. I'm kind of right and kind of wrong at the same time. Aylesby and Laceby parish boundary runs between, it runs right through the allotment basically. And the allotments themselves, most of them, not a good 90% of them, are actually within the boundaries of Aylesby. But I think what confused people was that they thought I was saying that Aylesby administer them. You know, Aylesby Parish Council look after them. They don't, it's Laceby. Laceby look after the allotments. It's just they're in Aylesby Parish. One thing that people probably don't understand when I say that something belongs to somewhere is that I'm actually meaning that it's within the boundaries. The whole politics and things like that, I don't really get into that. I mean, I could do, but it's a bit of a grey area, and I'm not very keen on trying to do it, to be honest. So if I say something belongs to somewhere, it means it's in the boundaries, basically. What I said in the episode was absolutely right. They are in Aylesby Parish, and for that reason I got a little bit annoyed when I read these comments, but I think people understand now that that's what I mean, and I did put a post about it earlier on YouTube this week. I don't know whether you've seen it, but yeah, that's cleared that up hopefully. So let's move on to the Megatrip now. Okay, buckle up, because this is going to be quite the part of this episode. I'm obviously going to be going through the entire trip from start to finish in great detail, actually, because I haven't really talked much about it before now, and so I need to let everybody know what's going to happen next week. So first of all, we are taking a trip around 9 counties, starting in Worcestershire and ending in Rutland. It's going to take us 5 days. We're staying in 2 hotels, one in Swindon and one in Letchworth Garden City, for 2 nights apiece. On every morning of the trip, Monday through to Friday, there will be a short uploaded to YouTube to tell you basically what we're doing, where we're going, where we've been, what's coming up, that kind of thing. But obviously in this episode I want to go a little bit into a bit more detail on what we're doing on every day. So we're beginning on Monday and we're heading to Worcestershire. We'll drive down to Worcestershire and we're heading for the Worcestershire-Gloucestershire border. And the first place we're going is called Childs Wycombe, which is on the Worcestershire side. And then we'll go to Willasey, which is on the Gloucestershire side. That'll be the first 2 episodes we record on day 1. Also on day 1, we're going to do the first of 3 Tales from the Village Green, and the first one will centre on Broadway Tower, which is just to the south of Willasey. It's actually on the Worcestershire side, but yeah, we'll do that on day 1. And when we've done that, we'll head to Swindon. So quite a shall we say a good start, but not a very intense start, just 3 videos to make on that first day. On the second day, we will concentrate on Oxfordshire and on Wiltshire, and we're going to be doing 2 in each county. On the Oxfordshire side, we're going to take on Shrivenham and Bourton. Now originally we were only going to do Shrivenham, but I looked at the ones I was planning to do on the Wiltshire side, and one of them, it's not very easy to make a route. So it's a bit tough to sort of do with the others. So I thought, right, I'll scrap that and I'll do Bourton instead because it's much easier. We've got to try and make this trip efficient and easy as much as we can because it's a big one and our feet will be tired by the end, trust me. So we'll do Shrivenham and Bourton first on the Oxfordshire side, and then we'll come across into Wiltshire and we'll be doing Blunsdon and South Marston on the Wiltshire side as part of Swindon series. And that's pretty much day 2. On day 3, we will move from Swindon and head towards Letchworth Garden City in Hertfordshire. But on the way, we'll be driving through Buckinghamshire and Berkshire. And we will be catching Dorney in Buckinghamshire and then hopping across the border into Berkshire to do Eton. And that is the one I am the most excited for on this trip. I will tell you that now. Eton has that many listed buildings, it's probably easier to tell you what's not a listed building in that episode. And of course, Eton is famed for Eton College, and we will be seeing some of that as well. We'll also get a good view of the River Thames as well. The very first time we've seen the Thames on the channel. When we've done those 2 episodes, we'll be hopping across the Thames, staying within Berkshire, and we'll be heading to Windsor Castle. And we'll be making a special episode outside Windsor Castle. It won't be a normal parish episode because Windsor's an unparished area. It won't be a Mrs. TVI, it won't be a Beyond the Boundaries, it won't be a Tales from the Village Green. It doesn't fit into any of those categories. It's a special episode outside the largest occupied royal residence in the world. So hopefully you're going to enjoy that one when it comes out. When we've done all that, we'll be heading towards Letchworth Garden City, just to drive up the M1 basically. And yeah, that'll be the end of day 3. On day 4, we're tackling 2 in Hertfordshire and 2 in Bedfordshire. And these are all on the border. So on the Hertfordshire side, we'll be doing Holwell and Purton. And on the Bedfordshire side, we'll be doing Meppershall and Stondon. These are quite nice villages. The Purton, for example, is a nice circular village. That one's going to be easy to do. Meppershall's got a few interesting bits. Stondon has, or used to have, a museum, which is no longer there, unfortunately, but I can still talk about it in that episode. There's some good bits on day 4. That should, in theory, be the easiest day of the 4, quite frankly. And then we're back to Letchworth for the night, and then on day 5 we'll be heading straight up the M1 and catching Stretton, which is in Rutland, and that is where we'll be doing the 3rd Tales from the Village Green. I've just realised I haven't told you about the second one. The second one will be in Swindon. We'll be doing the Magic Roundabout, if you're familiar with it. But the 3rd one will focus on a prison, which is in the parish of Stretton. And that's really it. That's it for the Megatrip, and once we've finished with that, we'll be heading back home and I'll have all the editing to do. 13 parish videos, 3 Tales from the Village Green, a special episode outside Windsor Castle, and a parish notice board, obviously, for next week. There might even be more. You never know. If we have time to fit any more in, we will, because, you know, while we have the opportunity to do this, we will do this, and we will make as much content as we can for your enjoyment. And that's really it. I don't have anything else to talk about this week apart from that. You don't need a coming week section because I've just told you what I'm doing all next week. So yeah, I'll see you at some point next week on the Megatrip with next week's Parish Notice Board episode. I hope you've got it all, and I hope it's going to be one of the best trips we've ever done. Not just for me, but also for you, because there's plenty of things out there which I'm sure you will all be interested in. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and this has been the Parish Notice Board. This is what's coming up on your screens this week. I'm out.